Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. I have not seen Elio. I plan to, but the bottom line is I haven't, and I fully understand that I am part of the problem. However, this rant isn't about the quality of Elio as much as it is the discussion around it and the double standards audiences have toward modern movies. And before I go off the rails, I would like to clearly state that this isn't a defense video. I am not a paid shield by Disney, nor am I defending a multi-billion-dollar company. Let's be real, guys. How or why on earth would I, of all people, even get paid to make this video? Disney as a corporation deserves mountains, and I mean mountains of criticism, but I also feel like the permanently unsatisfied customer deserves to be called out. And I know this video is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but keep in mind, I am only targeting / calling out specific groups on specific arguments that they have. And this is just a lot of frustration that's been boiling up. So who knows, maybe I say some things I mean, maybe I say some things I don't. We'll just have to see. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, what is Elio? Elio is the newest Pixar original film. Originally slated to come out in the spring of 2024, the movie was delayed due to production issues and the writer's strike of 2023. When the film finally got its new 2025 release date, members of the cartoon community following its production noted and lamented the lack of advertising Disney was giving it. I have personal experience with this as well, as even though I saw the trailers, I came across a lot of people who are shocked the movie even existed. This led to a lot of conspiracy theories about the film and Disney's approach to original animation, some of which I will be debunking today. After the film came out, the entire internet decided to clown on the movie for the lack of marketing and supposed low budget it was given, along with the chosen animation style. This is the first bit of misinformation I would like to debunk. Disney did spend marketing on Elio. They actually spent a lot of money. According to the media post, they spent more money marketing Elio than they did the live-action Lilo and Stitch, probably because Lilo and Stitch already had more brand recognition than a completely original film, even if it's one coming from Pixar. Now, I don't know a lot about advertising methods, so I could be wrong here. If anyone is more knowledgeable as to how Disney fumbled the execution, please feel free to educate me and the audience in the comments down below. Either way, this alone proves that the people saying Disney and Pixar did not have faith in this movie were wrong. And you know how else I can prove this? By pointing to the box office of the Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon remakes. Those movies made a ridiculous amount of money and showed that audiences will still pull up to the theaters. So, why did Elio fail? Well, I can certainly tell you that it wasn't because of the marketing. For one, Disney gave it a horrible release date. Dumping it out less than a month after 2 live-action remakes of classic films was a surefire way to get it lost in the sauce. And second, audiences were simply not interested in what Elio was showing them. And in the modern day, the only thing that will get butts in seats are franchise films with a strong or nostalgic IP behind them. Very rarely will an original film get the spotlight. You may or may not like what I just said, but I'm not blaming or shaming anyone with that statement. Watch what you like and spend your money on what you think is proper. I ain't your dad and I'm certainly no better. I'm just stating it as it is. But that's the tricky part general audiences can't and don't seem to want to understand, and why I consider this video a hot take. Elio's failure has shared blame on both sides. Disney failed to give the movie a solid release date, instead lumping it in with 2 bigger family films, and the audiences who whine about going to the theater are big fat hypocrites. I have seen a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, not just from the cartoon community, but from the film community in general, who have been whining about how original movies aren't made anymore and how it's too expensive to go to the theaters these days. Yet these are the same people who will fork up the cash and go see 2 remakes to 2 movies they've already seen before in the same month. And you can't say they don't do it. Look how much money they made. That is something I will blame the audience for, as the same people clowning on Elio are most likely the same people who have seen at least one of the 2 remakes, so clearly they have the money. People also seem to forget that kids aren't the ones paying for movie tickets. Grown-ups do, and the grown-ups who went to see the live-action remakes would most likely rather watch a movie of their childhood classic with their kids than a generic movie that they don't know will be good. Streaming is also a big factor. Unless it's a hype movie, again, like the IP stuff I mentioned earlier, most people would rather wait until a movie comes out on streaming to watch it. This isn't an Elio exclusive issue. It's been a thing that's been happening since the pandemic began. And I wouldn't lie, I am guilty of this too. I don't go to the cinema often, and when I do, it's usually an event. I didn't see Elio, not because I'm uninterested, I still plan to watch the movie, but because I had to choose a film I knew my folks could watch and feel like we got our money's worth from. That thought process alone is a simple and valid explanation as to why Elio flopped. This leads me to talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. I watched this movie about 2 weeks after its release, which was the same day as Elio, by the way, because of all the hype I've been hearing, and surprise, surprise, I loved it too. Of course, it wasn't long before people were comparing this movie to Disney's downfall. Now, to get this out of the way and prove once again I'm not a shill despite what most watching this video already think, yes, this movie is everything Disney wishes it could be right now. We have compelling female protagonists of color, a potential romance that doesn't diminish our main character, catchy songs, spectacular animation, a concept that's able to rake in a new audience, and strong internal themes of trauma and shame. Disney wishes they made something as good as this in the last 10 years, aside from Encanto My Love, obviously. However, the internet couldn't help themselves and started coming up with brainless takes about the movie, saying things like, why did K-pop Demon Hunter succeed and Elio failed? Is it because Sony took risks or appealed to a different audience?
No.
Do these people even hear themselves? K-pop Demon Hunters doesn't do anything risky. Outside of, I guess, being Korean focused, the basic story is very formulaic, yet the movie is still good. No, the reason why K-pop Demon Hunter succeeded is because it's a Netflix film. You can easily access it from anywhere as long as you have a Netflix account. An animated movie and a musical, mind you, aimed at preteens and teens on the world's largest streaming platform was going to gain some traction. It's just an added bonus that the movie was really good that it got sent to newer heights. And mind you, I didn't even know of this movie's existence till a week before its release. I guarantee you that if K-pop Demon Hunters released in theaters, it would have faced a fate similar to Elio's. From what I've heard about Elio, its story is also formulaic. So why don't people glaze that movie as well? Alright, you have to get out of your house, pay your entire life savings, and pray that the movie was worth it. You lose nothing by watching K-pop Demon Hunters, while you give up convenience, time, and possible enjoyment to watch Elio. The average person will think, might as well watch the live-action How to Train Your Dragon. I at least know I watched the original. This is not the fault of the studio. This is squarely on the audience. And I'm not saying that Elio will become a beloved classic once it hits Disney+. It could be trash for all I know. Again, I haven't seen it. I'm just saying that once it becomes easily accessible, more people might be willing to give it a fair chance rather than complaining about the events that led to its failure. And this switch up is honestly funny because when we turn to the remakes, people were pissed that Lilo and Stitch made some changes to the story, then glazed How to Train Your Dragon for keeping everything the same. This was not the case for the remakes 2 to 3 years ago, and my theorizing mind can't help but think that this is just another tactic to hate on Disney for. Because if Disney sees that people love the remake that keeps everything the same, then they will go back to making remakes that are shot for shot and line for line, and people will complain about that again. It's just a never-ending vicious cycle. All this drama makes me think that the fans are just lying for the sake of it. To be clear, it's okay if you don't want to see Elio just because it doesn't interest you or it looks boring. But lying about it just to create a more believable excuse is where I draw the line. The people out here whining about a lack of original films these days are the same people who refuse to watch Elio because it's not a good original or too generic. Mother trucker, you asked for an original, didn't you? Either watch it and form your own opinion or don't and admit your argument has flaws. Enough of this flip-flopping bullcrap. This is why I'm not fully mad at Disney's reaction to the backlash. For those who don't know, Disney recently released a statement saying that audiences shouldn't ask for original stuff if they aren't going to watch them.
Stop complaining that Disney doesn't make original stories if you don't show up to movie theaters and support them in the first place. Who said that? Oh my gosh. I thought I was the only one in my car. But anyways, there's a new original story. Look at that. From Disney Pixar called Elio. You should go ahead and support it. It comes up this Friday. So yeah, you should go to movie theaters. Thank you.
While I agree that this is a very dumb statement from Disney to their fans, I also can't disagree with the sentiment. I know the comments are going to paint me out to look like this picture, but it's true. I don't care if it looks good or bad. Support it if you want to see more of it. Stop asking for originals if you're going to give your money to sequels and remakes. It's as simple as that. This isn't a diss on the fan. It's an observation, especially with how businesses work, put into its simplest form. And for those lamenting not seeing Elio or upset it flopped and want more originals, What's stopping you from seeing it now? It's still in theaters. Don't give me that BS of, I didn't see any marketing. The memes of it flopping are the marketing. Go watch it. I'm just not seeing it simply because I don't have the cash. While we're here, I'd like to talk about Pixar. Last year, Pixar released an article where they admitted that most of their recent originals were flops through no fault of their own as they were shipped onto Disney Plus during the pandemic, but I guess we're just going to gloss over that. And that if Inside Out 2 flopped, they were considering shifting focus to making more sequels going forward to pull themselves out of their rut. Of course, as we know, Inside Out 2 didn't flop, but the cartoon community was still rightfully worried as they thought Pixar might take the wrong lesson from this and make more sequels anyway. Some people have gone so far as to say that since Elio flopped, Pixar will never make another original again. That line of thinking alone makes me wonder if the whole community suffers from cognitive dissonance or lack critical thinking. Hey geniuses, if Pixar were to forever make sequels to milk the goodwill of the original, wouldn't they need original films to milk in the first place? I know Pixar hate is at an all-time high, but this argument is so dumb. The 2020s alone are their most original decade behind the 2000s. So far, Pixar has released 6 originals and 2 sequels. 2 of their next 3 films are originals! Pixar, much like most studios, needs original films to survive. If anything, they're probably better than other studios because they use their sequels to fund the original stuff. One last thing I would like to address, though it's slightly unrelated, is the hatred for the bean mouth art style. For those who don't know, a couple of the Pixar films in the 2000s have been utilizing this round and squishy art style that make the characters look like they have mouths in the shape of beans. Apparently, this style is really easy to animate according to some animators we've seen on the internet. And yeah, personally, I don't really hate it. It's colorful and expressive enough to get the job done and looks more or less like a generic CG film. The internet didn't take kindly to this art style though, and they have been losing their minds, this year especially. They claim that it is overused and looks like a Grubhub commercial. Many have hearkened this drama back to the CarLarts hate in the mid-2010s, where most audiences hated that style as well. Except that style was in 2D and was used by multiple studios, rather than Pixar being the flagship black sheep of this decade. I don't know what it is about our chimp brains that hate mouths in the shape of beans, but I really do think this style is overhated. Not only because I think it's harmless, but also because it's not as oversaturated as most people say. But my thoughts don't mean anything, considering that we have some people out there who genuinely think Elio flopped purely because of the art style. Lil Timmy, I don't know how to tell you this nicely, but most general audiences don't care what the animation in a blockbuster movie looks like. Heck, half the time they don't care how it looks, period. I was raised on some weird stuff back in the day. I really don't think Elio's art style is enough to throw them off / not to watch the movie out of spite. Pixar has only used it in 3 films and 1 TV show: Luca, Turning Red, Elio, and Win or Lose. Once again, the cognitive dissonance strikes again as audiences seem to forget that Onward, Soul, Lightyear, Elemental, Inside Out 2, and even their next film, Hoppers, don't use their bean mouth animation. Don't worry, people will find a way to hate on that film too. One could argue that Pixar's released projects with that style too close together, making it seem oversaturated, which I do think is a fair point. But since I've seen no one raise that argument, I think it's safe to assume people are getting mad about this in bad faith. In the end, I'm not here to call out anyone so much as to give the honest truth plainly. When it comes to money in film, you either watched it or you didn't, and the movie either flopped or won. There is no in between. I made this video not to defend Disney or to glaze Elio, but to remind the audience that they are just as accountable to a movie's fail or success as the studio is. I am not above insulting the fans. Most fans suck anyway, and they need to hear that truth. I'm a consumer just like you guys, and I'm also guilty of falling into the studio's traps. But I also believe in fairness. Yes, even when the multi-billion-dollar corporations are involved. Yes, continue to criticize Disney for their greed, lazy representation, and the Disney Plus content factory. But also just know, whether you like it or not, you are responsible for Elio's flop. And it's because of that that we get people who did see it exaggerating the events around its failure for clicks. That is the truth. You don't owe these studios anything. But it's also important to remember that these studios also don't owe you anything and will do everything they can to part you from your money through any means possible. Because at the end of the day, that's all they care about. If they see the charts say sequels and remakes are the way to go, they will follow where the money is. Only we, as an audience can shift that. Thank you for coming to my rant. I am Captain Phoenix. Be sure to like if you like. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell down below. If you want to see more of my videos, go watch them. I'm less shouty and angry than this. Thank you so very much for watching. And with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.